All right, good morning. This is Sports for Real with Coach Hall um, with the good success. The big thing everybody's talking about, of course, is the college football playoffs. Now, first of all, let me preface this by saying that I don't get overexcited about rankings because it's not the final ranking. And a lot is going to happen between now and the final ranking next month. So why get overly excited about it? Because there's going to be an awful lot of change. Some people are going to drop. Some people ahead of them are going to get upset and they're going to move right back into place. And you just mix it all up in the bag, and that's what you're going to end up with. Another reason this is going to change because you have some player or some teams are going to have automatic bids based on the conference, being a conference champion. You don't know who these conference champions are. So there's some people on this list, some people that are going to end up in the final 12 and aren't in the top 12 right now. So it's just take it with a grain of sand, a grain of salt, as they say. But just a quick review: Ohio State, of course, number one, and they were followed by Indiana, which surprised a lot of people. Talk a little bit more about that in a minute. You have Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, and Oregon comes in at number 6. Ole Miss, BYU, Texas Tech, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, and Virginia. All right, again, no surprise with Ohio State. Indiana is worthy of being in that top 3, but I don't know if they necessarily are this 2 team right now. You also have Texas A&M at number 3. Now, as you look at this list, up to 12 teams, there are 6 SEC teams, 3 Big Ten, Notre Dame, 3 Big Ten, Notre Dame, and 2 Big 12 teams. Nobody in the ACC. So, again, like I said, actually, Virginia is number 12. So, 1 ACC, 1 Notre Dame, that's 2. 2 Texas Tech, that's 4. SEC has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams, not 6. But this is going to change a whole lot. And I think that Texas A&M is probably the best team out of all of them. Ohio State's got that lofty ranking because they hadn't lost. They defended champions. And they opened the year with a highly rated Texas, who's pretty much flamed out. Now, Texas is still hovering right now. Right now, they're at number 13. I don't know why, but they are. They're sitting at number 13. Louisville, they're a pretty good team, losing only to Virginia. They have a shot. Vanderbilt right now is 15. They've lost 2 heartbreakers, but they just in a position where I don't think they're going to be able to rise anymore. Georgia Tech can move over and make a lot of noise. I don't think they're playing Virginia, but if they make it to the championship game, then they're going to bump into Virginia if the thing continues the way it's going. Of course, Miami being the disappointment, who's sitting there at 18. Utah at 17, Missouri 19, USC, Michigan, Memphis, Tennessee, Washington, and Cincinnati closes it out. As you can see, this whole poll is dominated strictly by the Big Ten and the SEC. And if we didn't have concessions in place to put other conferences in there, that's exactly what it would be. Big Ten versus SEC playoffs. And who wants to see that, especially if you're going to call it a national tournament? All right, Selmo, how you doing, man? Break, what's going on? Told you the Jets was trading Quentin Williams to the Cowboys. Well, I had heard rumblings about it. He had said that he had a trade in place, but he never mentioned who exactly they were going to get. Now, the Cowboys, I don't give a damn who they get. If they get a little bit more pressure on the quarterback, but if you can't cover on the back end, what difference does it make? So instead of giving up 30 points a game, picking up Williams with a little bit of pressure on the quarterback, they might give up 28 points a game. Is that a real big difference? I don't think so. But the real big difference, break, you got rid of Sauce Gardner. He's going to the Colts. And he's going to help shore up that team. That team's trying to make a real run now, get better coverage in the backside. And that would be an improvement. And that's a threat, immediate threat to the Jaguars, who are going to get it on with the Colts twice on the second half of the season. and that's going to determine who wins that AFC South. But after watching Pittsburgh dismantle the Colts, they got bigger problems than the secondary. I don't think the secondary was really the issue. You get a team that can put pressure on Jones, it changes the whole dynamic. And you saw that the other day. Now, again, NFL is week to week. They got stomped by Pittsburgh this week. They may go out and stomp somebody this week. So it doesn't really matter. It all comes down to the playoffs. And that'll be great. And Jones, we're going to see if he's going to crack up now if he got beat on for a change. Nobody's been able to beat on him because they've been able to run the football. I think Taylor only had like 50 yards. So we'll see what kind of adjustments the Colts make. Now, before I get too far off topic here, let me talk a little bit about high school sports. They had a meeting yesterday about how to pay coaches in Florida. As you know, Florida's got a proliferation of great athletes, but the coaches, they don't make money down here. A lot of the better coaches from Florida, they get an opportunity. They go run to Georgia or somewhere else where they're paying. Just to give you an idea, down here you have one supplement. Let's just say for a round number, you might make $3,000 as a head football coach. And that is for all the hours you put in. After school hours, the training programs, the season itself, all of that for $3,000. And that's if you're fortunate enough to finish the damn season. If you get run off or something happen where you can't finish, then you don't even get the supplement then. They don't even pay you for it. And it's a racket. And now that the players can get NIL in high school, you're in a position where the players can make much more money than you, and you're the one that's supposed to be the professional. But the athlete is making far more money. So you take that $3,000 and I move across the line somewhere in Georgia. A lot of schools in Georgia pay more on the supplement end. Say, well, you might make $3,000 as a head coach here. You might get $10,000 in Georgia. Plus, you might get the title of athletic director, which carries another supplement. On top of that, in Georgia, they have extra days paid. They give you like 50 extra days tacked on to your salary, so you don't have to worry about trying to get another job. So if you look at the $4,000, the $7,000 difference for being a head coach, and even like being an athletic director, the 50 extra days pay make all the difference in the world because basically you're now getting paid over the summer. So that's like 2 full months of checks. And that makes a big difference, especially when you tight and the money is not like what you think it should be. So if you have an opportunity to move over there, that's what the best coaches are doing. And then the teams here, they don't have great coaches. I'd be on the head a lot of time because I see a lot of dumb stuff in high school football. You wonder, how did this guy get this job? Because he can't coach his way out of a bag. And I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole today because I got a lot of targets for that. But they had a meeting yesterday trying to figure out how to get more money to the coaches. And the thing that they're going to have to do is figure out how to pay if they were to come to an agreement. And what they're proposing is to pay coaches based on a minimum wage of the hours, approximate hours that they put in on the job. And that would take a coach who makes $3,000 as a head football coach up to about $22,000. Gigantic difference. But the question is, where's the money going to come from if that was approved? They're already scraping and scrambling trying to pay the teachers. And if the teachers are not getting fully paid in all these counties, how is that you're going to come up and pay money for these athletic coaches? Where's the money going to come from? So what I'm saying is, if the state doesn't kick in a pot of money, then where is it going to come from? In this state, the boosters aren't allowed to supplement coaches' income. So are you going to change that rule? Is the state going to come in and supplement the school districts? And if they do, then the teachers union is going to cry foul. We've been trying to get money for our teachers. We're already short staffed. And then you want to pay the coaches all this money? Big problems down here in Florida, man. And I just don't know how it's going to shake out. But I do know it affects me because I can go find other stuff to do than standing out on the football field working for some coach who don't know what the hell he's doing. So why would I waste my time with that when I can go do something else to earn some income? Now, if you got a great coach and you got a great program and you're allowed to thrive and grow while you're trying to coach, yeah, that's fine because it's not the. I enjoy the coaching, but like I said, I got other responsibilities. I'm trying to put myself in a position for retirement, and it doesn't make sense for me standing out on the football field making minimum, far below minimum wage when I can be doing something else and progressing. And to listen to somebody else who don't know what they're talking about too, oh hell no, I can't do it. So anyway, the point is this: the state's going to have to kick in some money to keep these coaches. And if the coaches aren't getting paid and they continue to stay the way it is, athletics in Florida is going to collapse. It's already to the point now where you don't know what kind of team you're going to have because athletes pretty much can change teams whenever they get ready. There's no real impediment to them moving around. And then the private schools, they have connections that can get players NIL money. So if you're a family and dad's working at the factory and he's barely making it, but I got this kid over here who's a top athlete and they want to pay him at the private school X amount of money to come play over there, shit, you go into private school. And it's just like that. A public school is under attack in Florida anyway. And then when you add the athletics on top of it, it's a big problem. So something has to be done or else the whole system is going to collapse, in my opinion. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. But in conjunction with what we're talking about, high school football in Florida, I had an incident, was it 2 weeks ago? This team in the Gainesville area went up Fernandina, and Fernandina was clearly the better team. I don't even know why they're in the same bracket. Well, I do know why, because it goes back to what I was saying before about how these players are able to move around. What's going on is players are grouping together, whether they recruited that way or banding with their friends. They all ended up at certain places. And when your school is being rated for talent that you would normally have, and they're going down the street to play for some private school, you don't have anything. So what they're finding is you have to play these district games against these schools that are loaded. So you're at a tremendous disadvantage if you're not one of those schools that has this talent that comes to you. Well, they have this new division now, pretty much independents, where they have like their little independent playoffs. I'm not quite sure how it works, but these schools would normally be in a district and they would play and go from there. But like I said, if you can't compete because all the players are being rated and going elsewhere, why put a team out there when you're getting beat 50, 60 points every night? It doesn't make sense. The program's not going to make any money. It's just a big waste of time. So what they do, all the schools that are alike, they put together this league, independent league, where they go and play for, consolation prizes of sorts, if you want to call it that. And this is how a bigger school like Fernandina can play a school like Bell, who is much smaller in this independent playoffs. Well, they get into a fight and had to separate a lot of people. I'm sure punches were thrown, and the player that's in question here, he's probably not the only one that got in trouble. But he snatched the dude helmet off. You can see on that picture on the thumbnail, snatched the dude helmet off and then hit him on the head with it. Well, that's the normal course of a fight, but this occurred during the game. So my question is, do you think players should be subject to arrest for actions during the game? Most of you right now are saying no. And I don't think a player should be arrested. I think he should be subject to losing his eligibility. But unless some kid smuggles some gun in his uniform or a knife or something and does something like that, then I don't see what he could possibly do that can make you subject for arrest. Now, I will say this, though. Earlier this year, they had an incident up in Michigan, and some big player had got the little guy on the ground, and he swan dived on top of him, and he messed his back up. Now, that could be questionable because that's not it wasn't a fight. You just whipped the guy, and you just, whatever reason, I guess you you're watching too much wrestling or something, and you jump on the guy's back and you mess him up. I can't remember what happened to him, but you can research that. Happened up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan earlier this year, and I don't think he was arrested, but I think he was in serious trouble up there. And this guy here, they put out an arrest warrant for him for taking his helmet off and hitting this guy in the head. Now, because we're talking about high school kids, I don't know if I should mention his name, but if you just research it, you should be able to find it. And I think there's a picture of where he's actually been arrested. Now, how that would work, I think the local school district where he is probably took him in and arrested him and negotiated some kind of deal with the Nassau sheriff. But I do know one thing, that the fight was so bad that the Fernandina Beach police escorted this team off the island. And if you know, Fernandina is pretty much on the island, right against the ocean there. You have to come up 95, you go down 200, you go over the bridge, intercoastal, and you're pretty much in the island. You can't even go to Georgia from Fernandina. You got to go back to 95 to get to Georgia, and you can just stand on the bank and look across and you can see Georgia, but for whatever reason, never put a bridge there. So he had to escort them off the island. So it must have been a pretty vicious fight. But I'm familiar with both schools, and I know the kind of personnel that these schools produce. So I'm not surprised at all that this turned into a fight. I'm not surprised at all. Matter of fact, the school where the kid came from to pull the helmet off, well, the last time I was coaching, we had some contentious games with the same school. And I know what I'm dealing with when you start talking about them. But at the same time, I don't think the kid should be arrested. I think his eligibility should be looked at. And especially if the other kid's not hurt, hey, separate, and then you punish the kid accordingly. But arrest, I don't think it should be arrest. All right. Tyler Spazin, what do you mean? What's the context? I just told you they were doing a play. I guess emotions got heated. Fernandina was blowing him out, so that just makes you mad. And the other guy giving it to you all night, I guess the guy just couldn't take it no more. He got into a fight and pulled the guy helmet off and hit him on the head with it. So now Fernandina people crying for his arrest, and they put out an arrest warrant for him, and it's going to go from there. Now I think what's going to happen is he may get hit with a misdemeanor, and they get the lawyers involved, and it'll go away. But right now, it's not a good look for either school district, especially Fernandina, to put charges on a high school football player. I can see if the guy was paralyzed during his actions or something egregious, but you get hit with helmets all the time. What looked like hurt, something that looks like it hurts, don't hurt a lot of times in football. It's the ones that don't look like it hurt. Those be the one that hurts. All right. But I want to be a coach. I want to be a coach. I want to coach the youth. Well, what's stopping you? There's plenty of openings to be a coach. Selmo, I got two cousins that are both head coaches in Western North Carolina for high school. They teamed with each other 4 weeks ago. Wow, who won? And what side were you on? What school are you talking about? You saying Western North Carolina, is that up in the Hendersonville area, or where are you talking? I believe that's probably where you're talking. I'm not familiar with the football up in the mountains. Most of the good teams in North Carolina usually be somewhere around Central, Raleigh, Fayetteville, Kannapolis. Those are the good teams out that way. Or used to be anyway. The Andrews Wildcats with Coach Johnson. Okay, I'm going to look them up. Did they make the playoffs? And you said that that's one school. What about the other one? Andrews Wildcats, Coach Johnson, and we'll look up the other guy. They played 4 weeks ago. I can figure out which one it is just by looking at the schedule. It's amazing what you can find just by perusing the news. I find all kind of stories just by doing it that way. But yeah, man, I don't think a kid should be arrested. These kids are getting more unruly, so maybe arrests will send some shock waves around the sports world that you kids can't do what you want to do. But the way that they make the rules, It's almost saying, kid, you can do what you want to do, and there's no repercussions for what you do. They cuss the coaches out. Now you're making more money than the coach. So you know, the first thing the kid do when he gets mad, man, I don't have to listen to you. I make way more money than you do. But what that kid doesn't realize is he still got to go through the coach to get to the field. And if you got conduct detrimental to the team, it's like that dude John Morant. You can be benched at any time. You know, it's still a privilege to play these sports, but the way that things are working right now looks completely opposite. And I like to see some change to all of that. But it would make a big difference if these coaches were paid a little bit more money, and allow the coach to do his job instead of being whisked away off the field for some minor incident, and then even check to see what the kid did, and you automatically blaming you're supposed to blame the adult because the adult's supposed to be in a higher position than that. But you'd be surprised at some of the things these kids do, man, and they realize they can get away with it because they're kids. Then they take that same attitude to college, and they find out it don't work so well. Um, in this day and age, with the players getting paid, why would you risk blowing such opportunities when you got it better than anybody ever had it in the history of the NCAA? I just saw one of the Tennessee ladies basketball players. She's got arrested for the second time, and she lost that opportunity. As you know, they make money in college now, so why would you blow an opportunity like that just to be down or cool or some minor violation that gets you arrested? Don't make a whole lot of sense to me. But these kids are super. They can do what they want to do. At least they think they can. All right, so let me write this down. We got the Andrews Wildcats and the Roslyn Tigers. So Coach Allen and Coach Johnson. Let me track it up. All right, I got it. All right, check them out, Selmo. The Browns, Selmo, they got rid of one of your edge rushers. Get his name, Troyinka or Salinka or something like that. He wasn't Myles Garrett, but in time he could have turned into one. They traded him to the Bears for a couple of picks. So I don't know what the Browns are doing, if they're trying to get as many picks as they can to try to rebuild through the draft, or what they're doing. I think that they put too much emphasis on the draft because you really don't know what you're going to get from the draft. I tend to think that if a player has already proven himself, why not go after players that have experience playing in the game, or you can get some value out of them instead of hoping that you get into a position to get certain players that you want. Don't make a whole lot of sense to me. But that's what the Browns are doing. But I'm waiting to see how long it's going to be before Deshaun Watson hits the field. They haven't activated him yet. Dylan Gabriel is not lighting the world on fire. And we've yet to see Sanders. My projection weeks ago was that Gabriel was going to get in. He was going to struggle. And then when they got tired of watching him, they're going to put Sanders in. He's going to struggle. And then at the end of the year, if they're not winning, which they're not, they're paying Watson all this money. If they activate him, they're going to put him out there 1 or 2 games just to see what he does. And guess what? You're going to find that his arm is not dead. The man can still throw the football. And 9 times out of 10, he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Browns coming into the 26th season. I guarantee that. And I never backed up off that. But right now, the talk is college football at Ohio State. And answer me this, Selma, what's more popular? I know the Browns are long standing, especially in the early days when they first came around. The Browns are the thing in Ohio. But is Ohio State rated higher than the Cleveland Browns? Which is more regarded, Ohio State or Cleveland? I think I know the answer. I want you to tell me, who do you think is more highly regarded? You think these high school players need agents now? No, they don't need an agent. But that's not a bad idea, though. Like I said, these private schools, a lot of people that go to these private schools, their kids, these kids are their parents are big time business people in the communities, so they can get them NIL deals. So because of that, the parents can serve as an agent. You just ink a deal that way, and maybe you hire a lawyer to look at it to make sure everything's on the up and up. But other than that, I don't see why they would need an agent. But the money is not that significant like it is in college. I do know one guy, the first guy that signed, was a baseball player out on the Panhandle. I think he got what's it, 30,000 or 300,000, something like that. So the money is good, great for a high school kid, but far less significant than what you're seeing in the college level. But no, they don't need an agent. So Ohio State is bigger. I kind of thought that because even though NFL is a bigger sport, you still have Ohio State with the state university, and more people have gone to Ohio State than would have any action with the Browns. And then there's another team there in Ohio, the Bengals, and then close by you have the Steelers. So yeah, that would make sense. I think Ohio State would probably be bigger. No, woo-hoo. Worth 400,000 coming out of high school, not coming out of high school. Woo-woo. We talking about getting paid while you're in high school. You have NIL deals. I know in 31 states. Florida just signed it. I think it's been less than 2 years now. Right about 2 years, or it's right about 2 year mark that Florida came up with that. And I know we got a baseball player. He signed for about 400,000. So that's damn good money for a high school kid. And question is, would he be allowed to keep it, or is his parents going to take it from him? And I've known kids that had jobs and the parents took the money from them. But with that kind of money, I don't see how the parents can take it from them. But that brings up the point about Missouri. When they came up with the NIL deal, they said that the kid can get NIL if they sign with a state school. And this is before all the other rules came out. So it might be even better now. So you can just imagine a kid living in a trailer park somewhere, and not that the trailer park's bad, but you know what I mean. If he's making a low amount of money, his parents are making a low amount of money, and all of a sudden you get a deal from the state, and all you got to do is go to the state of Missouri school to get that money. Oh man, you got to believe. You got to believe that if all you have to do is go to a state school and you're going to get X amount of money in the meantime, even as a ninth grader, oh hell yeah, you got to do it, man. Didn't Dennis Rodman's daughter have an NIL deal? I'm not sure about the high school, but she's been. You talking about the soccer player? Oh, she's got a little age on her. I think this came before the NILs, but I'm not sure how long NIL was a thing in high school. How long that's been available? So I can't speak on that. I just know Florida came about 2 years now. Florida and Georgia both approved deals right about the same time. I think Georgia was a little bit before Florida. So yeah, it's a great time to be an athlete. And if I had to come through again, and I did football and track, and what I should have been doing was playing baseball. If I was to come through now, seeing what's going on, I would be working out 3 times a day. I'll be working out in the mornings. I go to the practice for the sport, and I'm going home and work out some more. And I'm going to get me some of that NIL money in high school, and I'm going to get me some of that NIL money in college. And I wouldn't give a damn if I didn't make the NFL, because if you get NIL for, say, 2 years in high school and 4 in college, that's 6 years. And with the money they paying, you can actually retire when you graduate from college. You don't even need the NFL. Look at Carson Beck. He's not playing that great, but I think they're paying him $8 million down there in Miami. He thought he was going to go to the NFL draft, but he's not good enough. So why not spend an extra year if you're going to pay me $8 million? And the thing about that, people want to give these athletes grace. He's still in college. No, hell no. You paying him $8 million to serve a need, and he's not fully fulfilling what you thought he was going to give you. So we got to get rid of you and bring in somebody else. And that's what the money does. So Beck, he can actually retire when he leaves Miami because they're paying him $8 million. I don't know what he made at Georgia. He didn't make 8 million, but he got 8 million in Miami. So what does he care? He don't need to do nothing. He do whatever the hell he want to do because of all this NIL money. And this is what disappoints me about these athletes that I see around me. They don't see the opportunity in front of them. All you gotta do is get yourself in shape, dedicate yourself to the sport. Somebody's gonna notice you, especially if you got the measurables, the height, weight, and all of that kind of stuff. Somebody's gonna find you. And these guys, you just don't see it, man. I'm worried about it. All right, Selmo said those ideas can make one feel brand new and a little cocky. Exactly. That goes back to what I was telling you about the coaches. You're just going to be a matter of time before some kid making NIL goes off on his coach because he knows he's making more money than the coach. I told you, average high school football coach in Florida is making $3,000. That's on the public school. Now, you go to Dade County and big counties like that, you might make 5, maybe 6 at the most. I know some schools like Clay County, their coaches make over 4. So, but that sounds like a lot of money, but that ain't nothing. You cross the state line over here in Georgia, you got a lot of coaches in Georgia making 100,000. That cat up in Beaufort that built the program pretty much. This was 8-9 years ago. He was getting $75,000 supplement just to coach football alone. But now the coach now is making over 200,000. So was Jeff Sampson or Simpson? What he was getting is small compared to what the guy getting now. And high school football is becoming just like pro football. That's why all these coaches are blatantly breaking rules to go get players that don't live in their district, that have no connection to you, but all of a sudden they show up at your school. How'd they get there? Where'd the interest come from? Give me a break, man. But I will say this, if you want to win that bad, God bless you. But at the same time, all that does is help the coach. So what you have is a bunch of selfish coaches are getting all these players so they can win because they know, even though all these players on the team, they're not getting scholarships because they don't fit what the colleges are looking for. So when you win like that, all you're doing is making yourself look good. And the parents, they don't realize that. It's all a con game is all it is. They're stepping over the backs of these kids to get there. I refuse to win that way. If I can't win and grow what I got on campus, I'm not begging nobody to come play for me, and I'm not going looking for you. And no, I'm not sending emissaries out to go find nobody. I'm going to play with what I got. But if you want to win like that, God bless you. If you win a state championship, you got to put an asterisk by it because the people that you're playing with, they ain't from your area. So are you playing high school football or are you playing junior college? What is it? So I'll leave you with that. All right. Just to recap, what's the horn saying? I got to get up out of here. Let's go through the top 12 of this college football rankings again. You got Virginia at 12, Oklahoma at 11, Notre Dame at 10, Texas Tech 9, BYU 8, Ole Miss 7, Oregon 6, Georgia 5, Alabama 4, Texas A&M 3, Indiana 2, and of course Ohio State is 1. And when you look on here, it's not that you lose, it's when you lose because Notre Dame got stomped by Miami, but they are, where is Miami? They are 8 places ahead of Miami. And if they played again, Miami probably would beat them again. Virginia survived Louisville, and they are two spots ahead of them. And Alabama's basically survived Georgia, Tennessee, and who else? Was it Missouri and Vanderbilt? So Vanderbilt is 15th, and Missouri is Missouri somewhere. Missouri is 19th. So it's pretty decent, but like I said, guarantees for the Big 12 and the ACC is going to knock out some of these SEC teams, and you're going to end up with a good mix like you had last year. You're pretty much going to have SEC is probably going to get 3, Big 10 is going to get 3 or 4. ACC is only going to get 1, and then you have let's say the Big 12. Big 12 might get 2 this year. We'll see. But basically, this is the SEC Big 10 tournament. And because these conferences are spread out now, it's still a national tournament. But other than that, it'll still be regional. And what have you gained if that's the case? Anyway, you guys have a great day, man. I got to get up out of here. I got some work to do. And hopefully I catch you in the morning. Got to change the schedule tomorrow, so I don't know if I'll be on. But if not, I catch you guys tonight or sometime tomorrow, maybe just not in the morning. But Selmo, woo woo, appreciate you guys chiming in with me. I had a new guy step in, Tyler Spazin, JC. I didn't even see you on here, JC. How you doing? And Break. I catch you guys another time, man. I got to get up out of here. But Ohio State's #1 right now, but I don't think they're the best team in the country. And I wait for the playoffs so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So until next time, have a great day. By the way, I didn't see them Steelers making any moves yesterday. I think we're ready to play.